Man, week 7. It's time to gear up for the LA Chargers, bro. They're coming out to Arrowhead State this weekend. Am I going to see you out there for the tailgate or what?
Negative. I got drill this weekend, so I'll be down south and will not be at the game. Ticket is sold already. I sold my ticket like week 2. But Chargers games always a good one to go to. Obviously, you want to go to the
Yeah.
division games, but yeah, it's every year. A couple games I gotta miss, and
Yeah.
it's accounted for. It's anticipated, so I know it's gonna happen, and I just roll with it.
Just want to say thank you for everything you do, bro. And hopefully
Yeah.
that ticket sale that at least gets your playoff tickets paid for, right? Who'd you sell it to? Who's Strato
Hey,
taking?
Kirk.
Okay, right on. Right on. Sat through a game or two with
Yeah.
Kirk up there in the seat.
Oh yeah.
Think my
Yep.
little brother's going to be going too. Darren will be going. Nicholas is back
Oh,
home,
nice.
but Darren will be going with me this weekend. So back-to-back brother weekends with
That
this.
man's
With
still at home.
no, he went back to
What's
his
Nicholas
place.
still doing at home, man?
He
Okay.
went back to
Okay.
his place. Yeah,
I was
yeah.
about to say. I was about to say that man's got work to do. He needs to head back to Florida.
He's down there. He went back on Saturday. Well, let's get into this
Good for
news.
him.
We'll go through some Chiefs news. We got some big headlines coming through today. Actually, we're recording on a Wednesday. You guys will hear this on Red
Yep.
Friday. A lot of cool stuff with the Chiefs team. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. We're also going to jump into some AFC matchups. Nothing too crazy on the AFC front. It's mostly AFC contenders facing some NFC contenders that we're going to see outside of this Chiefs and Chargers game, which we will dive into the nuts and bolts of that matchup as well. But let's get into this Chiefs news with a quick shout out from Better Homes and, of course, our own Katie Lawrence.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for the intro there. To dive
Yeah.
into the ad read here with Katie Lawrence here. She's a premier real estate agent for the Kansas City area. I've mentioned this a few times. She's got a lot of good things going on here in the Kansas City area. She stretches, north to south, east to west. She's not particular to one area. She's going to take care of you wherever you're at in the Kansas City area. She's going to help you sell, buy, build, whatever your dreams may be for you and or your family. So be sure to reach out to her. And I got a phone number here for everybody, 816-883-2425. Or you can email her at Katie Lawrence at KansasCityHomes.com. It is Katie Lawrence, KATI LAWRENCE at KansasCityHomes.com. So be sure to check her out. Here's a graphic right here for you to check out, and that'll take care of it, man. Dan, let's get into it, brother.
Love it. Love it, man. So a lot of big news. We'll start with Charles Omenihu, defensive end, big free agent signing out of San Francisco. He is finally breaking free from his 6-game suspension and will rejoin the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, how good must he feel coming off this suspension and joining the number 2 defense in the NFL in terms of scoring?
He's got to feel great. One, coming off his suspension, any guy that's in the NFL obviously wants to play ball. These guys want to
No
get out
doubt.
there and do what they love. But from the other aspect of being a defensive player, specifically a D lineman right now, having a guy come in that's got fresh legs and can get after the quarterback and assist on that front, that's a big deal too, man. Those guys have already gone through 6 weeks. Chris Jones 5 weeks, but they've went through. They've been beaten up already, and it's a long season left ahead of them. So those guys are looking forward to having some fresh legs, being able to get after the quarterback. And as a fan, you got to look at it the same way, man. Like a new guy to get after the quarterback and a defense that's already been very successful so far through the season.
Absolutely. He's been a great rotational guy throughout his career. And I was really excited when we brought him in just because he's got such flexibility in terms of what he can do from inside the defensive line, outside. They can stunt him. I mean, he's just super versatile. So not going to be a big sack number guy, but he's definitely going to create opportunities for other guys on that defensive line. So that's going to be really nice to get him out there with some old familiar faces as well joining the team again. Adam Schefter dropped a Shefty bomb on us at about 3 o'clock today on Wednesday. The Chiefs are going to be swapping out a 6th-round pick for Mecole Hardman and a 7th-round pick. The Jets are paying the remainder of that salary, so nothing to worry about for Chiefs fans. If you're looking for excuses as to why you don't like the move, do not use the salary cap as one. But the reason I'm a little bit indifferent on it is because we have 2 other guys that are kind of doing the same exact thing that he's going to be doing in this
Ooh.
Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. So what do you think this means for those 2 guys?
I don't think it means much, Dan. And I'm not a huge player for this. We already talked about it last week. How this isn't going to move mountains for the Chiefs offense, and not as specifically the receiving core. So what is he going to do for this offense? He's going to maybe spread things out a little bit. I guess one thing we have going for us here with this move is that he knows the offense.
Yep.
Even though he was here with EB, a Matt Nagy offense is pretty similar. Andy Reid offense, the umbrella is going to be the same, right?
Yep.
So that is the one plus. Is he an impact to the game? Absolutely not. I don't think he comes in and he's like, oh shit, the Chiefs offense is back. McCole's back. Julio Jones got picked up in the same day. Like, why aren't, this has always been a frustration of mine with the Brett Veach in season moves, is that we never go hit the punchline guy, go get the big guy, go get the big name, the big playmaker, right? We just put the little puzzle pieces together, and it's easy to be critical, I guess, after I mean, he's been successful, obviously. Put 3 Super Bowl runs, 2 of those ended up in championships. But that's a frustration of mine, watching that in season. Julio Jones goes one way, Mecole Hardman comes our way, and it's kind of like, which one weighs more in your hand? So I would prefer the big name guy, the guy that's got the big play. Even if Julio Jones comes out and catches 1 60-yard bomb a game, or 1 deep post, or 1 corner end zone catch, whatever it may be, Mecole Hardman might score 2 touchdowns for the rest of the year. Is that really the guy we needed to go out and get to turn the receiving core around? I don't think so.
I mean, I agree with you in certain respects with, is Mecole Hardman going to be that guy that like turns the offense to this next level? I don't think he's going to shift us into that gear, right? I don't know that Brett Veach was anticipating that either, or that Andy Reid or anyone on that team is expecting him to come in and all of a sudden be a guy that he's never been, right? But where I'll disagree with you is on the Julio Jones point. So Julio Jones, while he is going to be a Hall of Famer one day, is on the wrong side of 30. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. I don't like anything I saw from him last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I wasn't impressed with it. It's been set 6 weeks and he hasn't signed to a team. I think the Eagles are bringing him in because they had to make some injury moves, which we probably traded for Mecole Hardman because of Justin Watson's injury at the end of the day. But he doesn't get higher than maybe 3rd or 4th on that depth chart. And Mecole Hardman, I think, doesn't get higher than maybe 5 or 6. He's just going to be a depth piece for us at the end of the day. And you brought up 60-yard bombs. I think Mecole Hardman's just as good for a 60-yard bomb as Julio Jones at this point in their careers. Mecole Hardman's faster than him. He's going to be getting less attention than what a Julio Jones is going to get on the field. And I just don't think that highly of Julio Jones at this point in his career, to tell you the truth. Now, I'm not saying he's, on the same exact talent level as Mecole Hardman, but 60-yard bombs are literally his specialty. Like, that's what Mecole Hardman does, other than the jet sweep. Like, those are the 2 things you can count on Mecole Hardman for in this offense. So I'm not saying it's going to turn the page for the offense. We've seen struggle so far. He does know the scheme, so that's a big benefit. But I don't hate the move. I mean, really, at the end of the day, we're moving at most 20 spaces back from a 6th-round pick to a mid-7th. Like, that's not that big of a price, especially when the Jets are still paying his salary, and he'll be a free agent after this season's wrapped up. So we're not tied to him long term either. So those are all pieces that I'm like, okay, I mean, it makes sense. And if he doesn't play for the Chiefs the first 4 years of his career, I highly doubt Veach even attempts to go after him. So that point you brought up about him knowing the scheme, like that's the underlying 100% reason why we went and grabbed him, I think.
Sure. Yeah. Just to close out the conversation here with one comment. You're 29 years old. You're 1 year away from 30 years old. So easy on those 30-year comments there, bro, because you're about to be the old geezer too.
I'm about to be the old guy. If I was playing football, I'd be like, man, I'm getting old around here. I can't even run a 5K without feeling sore. So I can only imagine what those guys are going through.
Yeah,
Frank
that's funny.
Clark.
That's good stuff.
Frank Clark, man, known him for a physical tomorrow with the team to potentially sign and come back as that rotational guy. Who knows what we're going to sign him for? He cleared waivers and all that good stuff. But, you know, with this move, I see it being similar to what we've done the last couple seasons with some of those old veteran pass rushers like Melvin Ingram, like Carlos Dunlap, like Terrell Suggs. We bring a guy in that can come in for 5 to 10 rotational snaps a game, make some impacts on third down, and then send him back on the pine to be fresh legs later in the year. I mean,
Yeah.
Frank Clark's big energy guy too. So I love the idea of this.
Yeah. What's the yeah, honestly, I had no idea about this. This is breaking news to Trey Lawrence right now. What's the money damage on somebody playing 5 to 10 snaps a game?
Well, see, that's the thing is, I don't know that we sign him for anything more than the vet minimum. At this point, he gave 1.7 mil back to the Broncos so that they would cut him loose. And even if we paid him $1 million to be that guy who makes an impact on third downs, on second downs, those passing downs situations, and then he's fresh for the playoffs, a depth piece for us,
Yeah.
like it's worth $1 million. That's
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at it, that's like 0.5% of the total cap space. So, I mean, for a guy like that, like Frank Clark, who has 2 rings, who has chemistry with this locker room, I think that's a huge add.
Yep. No, that's a good point. If it's $1 million, even $2 million, that's a game changer. Maybe not for the regular
Mhm.
season, but as we talked about last week, he comes in the offseason, has, let's say we play 2 games before the Super Bowl, assuming we go to the Super Bowl, he has 3 sacks. That's worth the payment right there for me, bro.
That's an ROI. That's ROI at its finest on that Frank Clark investment.
Yeah, that's the fastest 40 business class right there, baby.
That's the business class. We're teaching you numbers here at TF40. So, yeah, I mean, Frank Clark getting him back into the fold, I think, is going to be huge for this defense. Big energy boost for Chris Jones. That dude's going to be psyched. He might get a sack every game the rest of the year.
I don't think
He's been
we
begging
need a
Beach
Frank
to
Clark
grab
to
that
get that
guy.
done. Yeah, he was on pace. All right, Dan, AFC Landscape. AFC Landscape, bring us in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is going to be brought to you by eCoffee, our KC local coffee company, www.eeroastcoffee.com. Check out their Rad Kingdom blend. Perfect way to wake up on a red Friday. They're getting coffee from all over the world. The best places to grow and source your coffee, roasting the bean here in KC and shipping them out wherever you need them. Check out their espresso. Check out their subscription services, www.eeroastscoffee.com. Key AFC matchups, man. Really, there's just 2 to look out for this weekend if you're wanting to catch a game that's not the Kansas City Chiefs. This Thursday, I mean, you could watch the Jags and Saints game. Truly, Trevor Lawrence's status is kind of up in the air, so that could be impactful for the AFC South race and who's ultimately going to come out of there. But with the Anthony Richardson injury, he's going to be out for the rest of the year. I don't know that the Jags really have much to worry about with the way the Titans have played so far and the growing pains that the Texans are still going to go through. So, that's one I think the Jags pretty much have locked up as far as that divisional race is going to play out. But these matchups you'll want to look at. So Detroit's traveling out to Baltimore. That's going to be a really good game. Like, I almost want to take Detroit in this game just because of everything I've seen from them. Their running backs are a little bit banged up right now, but with Baltimore, man, they dropped this. They fall to 4-3, and the AFC North is within grabs of the Steelers and Bengals again, and the Browns for that matter. I mean, that's going to be a really tight race, and they're going to be beating up on each other all year long. So this is going to be a very important game for the divisional race for the Ravens. Not so much the conference race because they're playing an NFC team.
Yeah, I'm not. I think it's disrespectful if you don't take the Lions in this game, bro.
They're 5-1. They got the better record. They've looked better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been fun for Lions fans. I have a gentleman named Jake in my office who's from Michigan, and he's just like super pumped up about the Lions. He went out to the Chiefs home opener, so that wasn't too fun of a week for me in the office, but no, it's been awesome to see them. I like Dan Campbell a lot. The other matchup to watch is one that I think is going to be a freaking shoot out. Miami traveling out to Philadelphia. Two high-powered offenses, defenses. I mean, Dolphins have left a lot to be desired on defense, but with with that game in particular, Miami's got to maintain a lead against the Buffalo Bills, so it's going to be a big challenge for them. And they're currently tied with us at 5-1. So we should be rooting for them to drop this game.
Yeah, I think Miami's going to walk away with this one. Put Philly down another game here, but
really
again, high-powered game here. This is going to be a fun one to watch. Yeah, I think Miami's going to pull this one off. Yeah, I think both away teams, both games you just talked about, Detroit goes to Baltimore, takes the dub, and I think Miami goes to Philly and takes the dub.
interesting. I'm on the other side of that Philly game, but I like Detroit. I like Philly to bounce back from that game against the Jets. They're going to be a little pissed about that one. All right, well we'll move on to the AFC.
I think we see the real Philly here. Yeah, I think we see the real Philly here, man. I think they're going to start to crumble. Just like December last year.
We'll see. AFC Landscape, that's a wrap there. Not a whole lot to talk about until the week kind of wraps up. Chiefs and Chargers, man, let's get into it.
Yeah, so we're going to bring this one in with the sponsor here, specifically the Atlas Saloon. So Atlas is located downtown Excelsior Springs. If you haven't been downtown Excelsior Springs in the last couple of years, they've done a lot of great things to restore, bring the community back in town, man. They got a lot of great things going on downtown Excelsior. So right now at the Atlas, Keith's brewing beer down there, but the Scottish ales are number one beer as of right now. Upcoming events, tonight is going to be open mic night. 1 week ago from today, open mic night every Wednesdays. They had 11 people on the mic, had a hot mic that night, man. So make sure to make it down there, get an open mic. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. But upcoming events for the Atlas is going to be game day. So they do a huge party on game day, Chiefs games. There's lots of food, obviously lots of beers flowing, lots of Chiefs fans. Even if you're not a Chiefs fan, great place to go and experience a football game. That is the epitome of Chiefs fans, Kansas City fans, is down at the Atlas. It's a great environment to be in. So be sure to check out the Atlas, downtown Excelsior Springs, and shout out the Fastest 40 when you get down there, and we might take care of a beer for you, straight from me, baby.
Love that. We'll dive into the injury report first and just go through it quickly because there's not a whole lot here. Chiefs full participants across the board, minus one Justin Watson. He is going to be nursing that elbow injury. Surprised not to see him on the IR yet, but I feel like once some of these moves are made official, this league paperwork's processed, I could see him getting kind of shifted over into that IR spot. So we'll just kind of see how that plays out. The Chargers relatively healthy on their end as well, minus Joey Bosa. So that's going to be one to watch. He's always nursing something, whether it's, some sort of deep tissue or bruise or something like that. I mean, he's always got something going on injury wise and has missed a couple games so far this year too. But he's a limited participant in their estimated practice on Wednesday since they played Monday night. So going to be something to watch for Chargers fans and for Chiefs fans. If you're wanting to place those bets and take a look at how we're going to fare against their defense, Joey Bosa is a big piece of that for sure. So
Yes,
it's going to bring us into
100%.
our best bets, man.
Yeah, so right now, Dan, the spread is at 5.5, minus 5.5 for Kansas City. The money line is sitting at LA plus 205. If you were to take one of those, which one's it going to be?
Man, if I got to choose between those two, I'd rather just take Chargers to cover 5.5. We've seen
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes and Herbert the last two duels they've put together. It's been 3 points was the difference in the last two. I mean, the ones before that were 6 point differences. One of them went to OT. So, I'd probably take the Chargers to cover this one. I mean, I like the Chiefs to win it outright for sure. The Chargers have just been doing a lot of Charger like things this year. So I just don't foresee them closing a game out against us. It's just, I just
Yeah.
don't see it.
Yeah.
So I like
Yeah.
Chargers to cover.
Yeah.
The point total is interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it's just to jump into the money line real quick. I think 205, I think that's worth a flirt a little bit there. The spread, you can't dance around with those spreads with Kansas City, man. We've already talked through that a couple of times yet so far this season, but um, that's a dangerous one. It's kind of a weird one sitting at 5.5. Like you just said, we had two games before the last two games that were covered by 6. So something to keep in mind there. This will be a close game, 100%. Expect this to be within 7 at least. So it'll be interesting to see how that moves throughout the week too. That's something you'll want to watch there.
Yep, absolutely. The point total at 48, I'm liking the under here. A little stat was dropped out to me last week going into the Broncos game. 68% of the games played in the Mahomes era have had the under hit in Arrowhead. This game in
Wow.
particular, with our
Really?
defense being, yeah, it was a mind blower to me. But with our defense being the way that they have been, and our offense being the way that they have been, I think we win this game. But I think it ends up being like a 24-20 kind of game, where we squeak this game out and that under just slaps. Even if it's like a 27
Yeah.
to 20, I that's still the under with the way that maths. So I like the under in this one. I like the odds to kind of take it there for me.
Yeah, I think I gotta agree with that one. I don't like the over here. The Chiefs, with the offensive struggles we talked through the last couple weeks, obviously Chargers are having their same struggles. But to jump into some prop bets here, Dan, I'm just gonna run through a couple of them real quick here. MVS receiving yards, 12 and a half. 12 and a half receiving yards for our number one receiver. Number one receiver. Pat
Beautiful
Mahomes,
thing.
278 passing yards. And Rashee Rice, this is the one I like, 34 and a half yards, receiving yards. I think that's an automatic over. He's going to continue to get those touches. Isaiah Pacheco, rush yards, 62 and a half. That's kind of one of those like, man, that could go either way on the 62 and a half. That's a pretty solid line there for Vegas. And then
Yeah.
Herbert on picks, 0.5 on picks. That's an automatic over.
Yeah. I like Herbert to throw a pick. I like Pacheco to get like 65 yards, 66 yards, something like that. That's kind of what he's been averaging on the season anyway. So I like the over there. Rush Rice is going to be our primary guy, definitely catching the most passing yards. That's not Travis Kelsey on our team. And Mahomes, I like the over on his passing yards too. He'll probably get somewhere closer to 300 in this particular game. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 18 yards receiving in the month of October. I do not like him to surpass that number in a single game here. So I'm just taking the
That's
under. He
crazy,
gets 2
bro.
targets a game.
Crazy.
Yeah. So those are your best bets. We'll kind of move it into some other pieces here about this Chiefs and Chargers game. Mahomes v. Herbert, right? 2 marquee quarterbacks, big time matchup there. Mahomes 4-1 against Justin Herbert in those 5 matchups. There was an additional game against Kansas City that Herbert played and Mahomes didn't. He got the dub. So Herbert, while he's 2-4 against Kansas City, is only 1-4 against Patrick Mahomes. All their matchups have been decided by 6 points or less, and 2 of them have come down to the final possession, or 2 of them have come down to overtime, rather, and all of them have come down to the final possession. The one that Justin Herbert won against Mahomes, if you remember, there was that controversial defensive pass interference call. There was an interception late that kind of sealed the deal for him. Other than that, man, it's been just a battle. I mean, you have the games in LA. The last 2 seasons have been, coming down to the wire where Travis Kelsey had to score the game-winning touchdown in those 2, which was awesome to see in person in overtime. And then last year in Kansas City, that pick 6 by Jalen Watson to seal the deal. Gerald Everett slipped in the red zone, if you remember, and the stadium just started thumping. But always electric when these guys play, and the odds are in
Yes.
Mahomes' favor.
Yeah, honestly, it's just another one of those guys, another one of those quarterbacks that came into the league and they're like, this is going to be the rivalry right here. This is going to be the guy that's going to stop Pat Mahomes, right? How many guys have we seen that with? Josh Allen, Herbert, Deshaun
Lamar.
Watson. Yeah, Lamar. I mean, and none of them have came close. The only one that's done well is Joe Burrow. And, even though he's got more wins on Pat, we've still been able to beat him to go on to win a Super Bowl. So, enjoy that, Cincy. Enjoy that. But with a win here, Dan, the Chiefs would move to 6-1. Chargers go 2-4, and then the lead in the West goes to 3.5 games, with 11 games left to play in the year, and we'd be up 3.5 games, which is nuts.
That's about
the last couple of years we've seen it wrapped up, mid-December. So, it's kind of looking like maybe even Thanksgiving time when we may have the AFC West locked up.
It's crazy. I mean, a dub here would, I feel like, almost seal it. You're looking at a quarter of the season. They would have to overcome a quarter of a season to get back in position where we're even. Now, once the Chiefs go on their bye, whatever the Chargers do in that space, that'll take away that half game kicker. Unless, of course, we end up winning both matchups against LA this year, which would give us that half game. But I just don't see it being a situation where we go into week 18 and have to worry about playing starters against the Chargers. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think the division's going to be pretty much locked up. Now, AFC seeding, maybe there's something we have to do to get back into the 1 seed or something like that. But I just don't see it being a situation where we're playing for the West in week 18.
Man, that is a very good point, being that you and I are going to LA for that game, where it could be all the whole second team could be playing the game, man. We might not even see, Patrick Mahomes slinging the ball to Travis Kelsey out there in LA,
Playing for all the
Whatever. We'll have a
marbles.
good time either way.
Or none of them.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
It's going to be one of those two.
So, Dan, yeah, no, it absolutely will be. Yeah. And the week before that, we got the Bengals. So, that's going to have, or potentially could have, big impact on the AFC as
its
well.
Own implications, for sure.
Yeah. So, moving into how the Chargers get the dub here, what are some key points that the Chargers need to do for them to be able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend?
They got to do what they've been able to do in all of the other games we've seen Herbert and Mahomes play, and it's keep the score close going into the fourth quarter. It's come down to that final possession every single time, kind of like what we talked about earlier, where somebody has to do something heroic or somebody has to screw it up royally. And that's what we've seen in every single one of these. So for the Chargers to get the W, they're going to need to be able to put themselves in a position where a play like that will impact the end result of the game. I mean, that's first and foremost what they've got to do. And to do that, they have to protect Justin Herbert from the Chiefs' pressure. We've been able to get quarterbacks make some poor decisions. I will say this. I think the Chargers might have the best offense we've seen so far outside of Detroit. So it's going to be interesting to see how we fare against Austin Eckler. He typically has really good games against us. Keenan Allen's always a pain in the ass. So those two guys are going to have monster games as well. And if we don't keep them in check, they both pop. They have big fantasy football weeks. That's kind of how those are the terms I think in fantasy football weeks. But if they end up popping off, I don't see a situation where we get a win and both of those guys have monster games. So if they're protecting Herbert, then that means they're getting the ball to Eckler, they're getting the ball to Allen successfully, and it puts them in a position to do meaningful things with their touches.
Yeah, no, those are good points, and I think it's going to be important, or a big test for the Chiefs defense to say, hey, here's some key guys, Austin Eckler, like you mentioned, and Keenan Allen, like you mentioned. Those are guys, key matchups that we're going to be Chiefs fans need to be watching. Can we hold up with these guys in an offense like this? Even though the Chargers haven't been exactly who they've been in the last couple of years, right? This is still going to be a good test for the defense to come out and have key matchups like that, and kind of rolling into the keys to victory here for the Chiefs. It kind of goes the same against the grain here with the things you were talking about for the Chargers. You got to limit Herbert in the pass game. It can't be 3rd and 12 and he's hitting Keenan Allen across the middle for a 35-yard gain, right? We got to limit the pass game. We got to make them work the whole defense and work the whole offense and make sure that they're earning every yard that they're putting forward and not getting easy downs. Another point to that, though, is going to be the mitigation of penalties from the defensive side of the football. We have to play clean football on defense. We cannot allow them to get freebies on first and second down with minute penalties up front. And then on third downs, we can't get the holdings. We can't get the pass interferences, whatever it may be. We got to limit those. And if the Chargers are able to get something started earlier and able to get the offense rolling against this defense, our offense has to get established and has to establish some sort of foundation in the game, whether that's shot for shot with Justin Herbert or that's, hey, we're up 10 points. Now let's go 17. Now let's go 13. Now let's go 20. Now let's go 24. Whatever that number is, it's got to be full foot on the gas, and we got to really dive it in on this Chargers team because, like you said, man, if they keep it close in the fourth and we give them a chance, that's where the Chiefs can lose a football game to a division opponent, and we don't want to give them that chance, right? So, yeah. Another point to that, and the last one I'm going to make here, Dan, is going to be turnover. So this is going to be a kind of we're going to have a week here in the next few weeks where Pat's going to have to turn a corner and have maybe it's not a 4 touchdown, 0 pick game, but it has to be a 1 or 2 touchdown with 0 interceptions, maybe 1 sack. We have to play a clean offensive game where we're not worrying about turnovers from that standpoint. And really, Pat hasn't had to worry about too much pressure, but 1 to 2 sack game, even a 0 sack game would be really sexy to see here going into week 7.
No, I totally agree. He's only had 2 games without an interception so far this year against the Bears and Vikings. So if he's able to put up similar stat lines to what we saw in those games, over 70 yards completion, 300, 275, 300 yards, a couple touchdowns here and there, no picks, I mean, that's going to be huge in terms of what our, I mean, that would be the underlying key to why our offense was so successful on that given game. I mean, those have been the two most successful offensive games for the Chiefs so far this season. They just so happen to be the cleanest. So there's definitely a correlation
Yeah.
here with having that clean Patrick Mahomes game. No silly interceptions where you got a guy draped on your leg, underthrowing the ball instead of scrambling when you have a lane. Like those are things that we've seen Mahomes make those mistakes so far this year. Luckily, they haven't cost us a game. I
Yeah.
don't think we've been in a position where it's ultimately led to a loss, but we don't want to see it happen that way. And when you play in these divisional
Right.
games,
Right.
especially against the Chargers, who always play us super close, we just can't put them in a position to where they can seal the deal at the end of the game. So,
Right.
you mentioned it earlier too. Do not let off the gas. We see that all the freaking time from the Chiefs and
Yeah.
Andy Reid,
Yeah.
where they take their foot off the gas when they feel comfortable, whether it be a double-digit lead or whatever the case is. We just got to keep pushing, keep making sure we're making those aggressive plays. Don't get too conservative in short yardage. Don't, settle for the field goal. We see it all the time on 3rd and 6 in the red zone. They'll run a halfback draw or a delayed handoff and kick the freaking field goal. Drives me crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just don't want to see that against the Chargers. I want to put these effers away early.
Yeah.
And I
No,
mean
I
early in the
couldn't agree
season,
more.
not just early in the game, early in the season. We win this game and they're gonna be hurting the rest of the year.
Yeah. I'll take both. I'll take both. How about that? Yeah, no, those are good points though. No, I agree. And we got to put them away, call the game, and let's move on to next week. Why mess around with these division games at all?
Yeah. No, it's really no sense in playing games with these guys. I mean, we saw the Broncos game get a little too close for comfort too, which is just ridiculous that I even have to say that sentence. So I better not be saying it again when we talk about what happens this Sunday in our next episode, recapping the Chargers game. Looking forward to getting out there myself. Wish you were going to be out there with us, Trey, but appreciate everything you do, man. And we'll see you at the next home game.
Oh yeah, you will. Oh yeah, you will.
Cool. Well, we'll get back at you guys early next week with another episode of the Fastest 40 recapping the Chargers. It'll be just about mid-season, man, which is crazy to think about, but a lot of fun left here in the 2023-2024 season. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at the fastest_40. Follow us. Trey's back on social media, baby. At Trey Man LaFair. Don't think we didn't see that X handle down there, baby. Follow him on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call
Yay.
it. We'll be talking sports on there throughout the weekend too, and we'll see you next week, everybody.